some people say, well, David Eby is going to oppose a pipeline from Alberta to the Pacific. And my answer to that is, who cares?
Hi, it's John, and welcome to the channel. 5:05 a.m. Saturday, November the 22nd. I hope you're having a great start to your Saturday morning and a great start to your weekend as well. I've got my big blue mug of coffee, of course, and this is pretty quick on the heels of my previous video, but I wanted to discuss this morning. Now, before I get to the topic du jour, which is a possible pipeline coming to Alberta, I have a rule: always be skeptical. Always be skeptical. If I'm told that we have to eliminate all fossil fuels or we're all going to die, I'm skeptical. If I'm told that we're all going to die if we don't stand on dots, social distance, and walk specific directions in grocery stores, I am skeptical. Always be skeptical. And I am skeptical of this story right here. And in a minute, I'm going to show you absolute clarity on this issue. A pipeline from Alberta to the West Coast. Absolute clarity from the guy who should have been the Prime Minister of the country. And he only said this about a week ago. Absolute clarity on this. I am skeptical of this. I think we're having the wool pulled over our eyes on this. Danielle Smith can go into her annual general meeting a week from today, basically, and say, look, we got a pipeline, but I'm skeptical. And why am I skeptical of this story? This is Rick Bell, Calgary Sun, November 22nd. Danielle Smith on a new pipeline deal with Carney. All singles point to yes. There is a very strong and a very persistent rumor Prime Minister Mark Carney will be in Calgary next week. Then a little bird comes down and says, don't miss work next week. Next Thursday, just before Premier Danielle Smith attends the convention of UCP members in Calgary, where if all goes well, she can claim a win, and that would be a pipeline. Then we go over to this article, which is in the CBC right now. Alberta expected to sign new energy sector deal on Thursday. Source. A little bit of this story for you. Prime Minister Mark Carney and Alberta Premier Danielle Smith are expected to sign an agreement on the future of Alberta's energy sector on Thursday, according to a senior federal government source. CBC News reported earlier this week that the memorandum of understanding between the federal and provincial governments is likely to include some language about a path forward for the Northwest BC oil pipeline that Smith has long demanded. While the last Liberal government essentially slammed the door shut on an oil pipeline to the region, Carney is open to considering such a project if Alberta, as the proponent, conducts the necessary Indigenous consultation and negotiates with the BC government, among other conditions, the official said. Nothing has changed. Not a single damn thing has changed. Premier David Eby losing his freaking mind, this little beta male, running British Columbia into the ground. BC Premier David Eby blasts secret talks on proposed North Coast pipeline. Nothing has changed. And again, clarity on this issue in just a moment from Pierre Poilievre about a week ago on how this should be handled by the federal government. Anything less than what Poilievre says in just a moment is a fail, and it means we won't have a pipeline. Here's the guy that Premier Smith has to negotiate to get a pipeline to the coast. This guy.
I do have to say, I almost fell out of my seat when I heard Scott Moe say that he was part of these conversations and was helping in these discussions, which I was completely unaware of, between Alberta, Saskatchewan, and the federal government about what happens in British Columbia. I feel like I'm watching a couple tourists wearing sandals wander into the woods on the north shore of Vancouver. They're going to have to be rescued by a helicopter, and guess who has to send the helicopter? You know, in terms of British Columbia's knowledge about the stakeholders, about what's required, about any aspect of this pipeline, which does not actually exist, I think we can bring some information to the table.
We have to negotiate with him? There's clip after clip after clip of his unhinged rantings regarding this. He does not want a pipeline. He doesn't want an end to the tanker ban. He doesn't want an end to Bill C-69, the no pipeline ban. And then we have to deal with these people as well?
To make very clear that there's absolutely no support for pipelines to the Northwest Coast or oil tankers in the waters around Haida Gwaii. The people of Haida Gwaii, all the people who call the islands home, have spoken together with one resounding voice.
And we have to negotiate with those people as well. and they don't want a pipeline. And the laws that are in place that keep us from having a pipeline are still there. I don't have to go over them again. There's word that he could use Bill C-5, which gives him an opportunity to okay projects if they're of a national interest, but the other laws are still in place. And those were part of the 9 bad laws that Danielle Smith must go, or we'll have a national unity crisis. Nothing has changed. But what can be done here? If we have a government in Ottawa, if we have a party in Ottawa, we have a prime minister in Ottawa who actually wants us to have prosperity in Canada and in my province of Alberta, what you can do is say there's going to be a pipeline. Pierre Poilievre, about a week ago.
The provinces should have exclusive control over permitting projects that are within one province, and the federal government has exclusive control over projects that travel between provinces. And this latter point is very good because, some people say, well, David Eby is going to oppose a pipeline from Alberta to the Pacific. And my answer to that is, who cares? He has no power to block an interprovincial pipeline. It is a federal responsibility. So Mark Carney will try to use David Eby as an excuse for not allowing a pipeline to go ahead. That is not an excuse. The Constitution is very clear on this point. The federal government has the power to go ahead even if the provincial government does not agree. And I'm going to be very clear. Mark Carney still hasn't stated his position on a pipeline to the Pacific. He still doesn't know what he thinks on the subject 8 months after taking the job. As Prime Minister, I would use my federal legal authority to rapidly permit a pipeline from Hardisty, Alberta to Prince Rupert or Kitimat so that we can move 1 million barrels of Western Canadian oil to 2.5 billion energy-hungry customers in Asia.
Wouldn't it be nice to have somebody like that running your country who is quite clear about what he intends to do? And as he says there, Mark Carney still doesn't know what he's going to do 8 months after taking the job. And nothing has changed if he walks out on Thursday next week, hand in hand with Danielle Smith, the Premier of Alberta, and says, Danielle, you got a pipeline. Isn't this great? They'll raise up their hands in victory. We've got a pipeline. Go talk to David Eby and his friends on the West Coast. They don't want a pipeline. Nothing really has changed here. Always be skeptical. I actually wrote this down before I started this video. With all this chaos, would you invest in a pipeline? Not a chance. We're not going to get a pipeline. It ain't gonna happen. Thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications. I'll see you in the next one.